Discuss more now with former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani. He's also the president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. So, Neama, one, thank you for being here. But look, there's a lot in these files. There are a lot of names as well. What are your takeaways from what we learned in this latest drop?
My biggest takeaway, Omar, is there's a lot of allegations, but of course we know to actually present a case, doesn't matter whether it's a civil or criminal case, we're going to need witnesses and victims who are willing to come forward and testify. So obviously those tip logs, they're salacious. Marshall talked about it, not corroborated. But what I would be looking for is something that I can actually move a case forward. This is great for the court of public opinion. Everyone's talking about it on social media. But is one of these victims, are they willing to come forward? Are they willing to actually make an accusation, file a lawsuit, testify right now in court? Otherwise, the Epstein files, it's great for public trust and transparency. And I'm glad the DOJ finally appears to at least partially or almost complying with the law, but it's not going to lead to anything, and it's not going to give the victims and the public the justice that they want.
And, you know, when you look at just the sheer volume of files that have been released, and, you know, the files range from a number of different things, as it could be those FBI 302 forms, as we described, sort of memorializing interviews, not so much corroborations, to things that have been a little bit more verified. But one of the big issues here is of course, redactions. I mean, there are survivors detailed here, there are victims detailed here. Multiple survivors have told CNN the DOJ failed to redact their names and the names of others, while it made blanket redactions in other areas. So I just wonder, just from a logistical standpoint, what do you make of the handling of this release?
The redactions do appear excessive, and I've handled these types of massive document productions. You have pages that are blacked out entirely. And let's be clear, under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, really the only thing that should be redacted is information that identifies victims of sex abuse, child pornography. But what Todd Blanche said yesterday was important. He said that they were also redacting documents related to ongoing investigations. I find that hard to believe when the Department of Justice itself in July issued a memorandum saying there's no legal basis to charge any third parties related to the Epstein files. So typically what happens when there is a document production and there's redaction, there's a privilege log that's provided that identifies the document, the legal basis for the redaction. So if I were a member of the House Oversight Committee, for instance, I would demand that log, and I would take Todd Blanche up on his offer to have members of Congress review the unredacted versions of the documents, because if those redactions are indeed excessive, then maybe Congress should consider filing a lawsuit involving an Article III district judge who will review those documents and determine whether the redactions are appropriate and legally sound. And if not, we may get another more detailed release of the Epstein files.
Neama Rahmani, appreciate you being here. Appreciate the perspective. All right, still to come.